Hello everyone. So this is a camera pole that I've been working on for the past 6 months or so. I also have another variation of this that extends to about 13 feet, but I won't be showing that on camera because it's simply too long. Also, these poles, you can buy the pole from the hardware store. It's just they call it an extension pole. And I guess you can use it for painting or cleaning or anything like that. But in this situation, I've actually used it as a camera pole. So what I have here is some cable management clips that just run up both sides of the pole. I also have a few clips, and there's a cell phone holder here to put a cell phone in. And on this side here, I have a mount to mount a microphone. Now, the microphone that I'm using now to actually record this video is the one I put here. So, but I won't be attaching it now because it's actually recording the audio for this video. Now, so what we can do is the pole extends to about there, and what I can do with it is put an attachment with a camera on the bottom, and I can either use it under the water or I can use it above the land with a gimbal on it. So what I'll do now is I'll put the underwater attachment on and I'll set it all up, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the underwater setup. So now I have it set up with the underwater camera and light. So as you can see, the cable management pieces work pretty well. So they're to hold this front cable here, and also at the back here we've got another one coming up here. Now this cable here is a hydrophone cable. So that there's a hydrophone. It's a microphone for recording audio under the water. Now the reason why I use a hydrophone is because the microphone in the camera isn't really too good underwater. And of course a hydrophone is especially designed to record audio under the water. Now, so what I've got here is a camera and a light. Now the light is there so you can film at night, and also during the day if you're filming under rocks at a beach or something. This light really helps out in just lighting up the area, because it can actually be quite dark under some rocks, and say if you're trying to film a crab or some little creatures that are living under the rock, yeah, the light really just helps to light up the area a bit more, and that saves the camera from having to boost its ISO, and then you just lose quality. And of course, when I do have it set up, I have the Zoom H2N attached to the microphone holder here. Okay, so now you might be wondering what this cable here is with the suction cup on it. It's to send the Wi-Fi signal to the phone. So what I do is I have the other piece of this has another suction cup on it, and that actually attaches to the phone, and I have the phone mounted on my chest about here, and that way I can see what the camera sees. So I can put the pole in the water and line everything up and frame some decent shots. Having this just helps out with framing. And so the reason for having the Wi-Fi signal travel through a cable is because the Wi-Fi signal cuts out underwater at about a depth of about 2 centimeters. That's all it takes, 2 centimeters, and you don't have any Wi-Fi signal. So this cable here is basically just a a coax cable. It's got a shielding, and then it's got a copper core that runs up. And of course, I don't use the phone mount while it's going underwater. And in actual fact, if I'm going into deeper areas, I may well just take this part off. So now I will move on to the next part of the video, where I will attach the gimbal attachment and explain a little bit about that. Welcome to the second attachment, and that is the gimbal attachment. Now, as you can see, I have a gimbal here with the action camera on the front here, and of course this, as you know, the pole can extend just to give me that little bit of extra reach, so I can get some higher shots or get lower down shots without having to bend down. I can just simply put the pole down and the gimbal does all the work. And then of course we have the microphone that will attach there if I need it. And as you know, that's currently recording the audio for this very video. Pretty much all I have to do is, if I turn on the gimbal here, I just hold this button down for a couple of seconds, and the gimbal will switch on. And as you can see there, if I move the pole around, the camera stays straight. So, yep, that's the gimbal. As you know, you can put a cell phone here, and you can use it as a monitor, so you can see what the action camera sees on the cell phone here. Now, I don't actually, the cell phone that I use is actually recording this video. So yeah, that's the second attachment. Now we'll move on to the next part of the video, where I actually go to a location. It's Lake Tutera in New Zealand, and we'll move to that right now. Okay, so just to give some context to this part of the video, this is footage of Lake Tutera. This is the location that I will be filming under the water at. Microphone sync. Okay, so at this stage I'm just starting to record, and I say microphone sync so that there is a piece of audio that I can use to match up the hydrophone audio and the underwater audio. So here I'm just sort of starting to get my bearings, really. I'm just, what you can see on the screen now is what I can see on my cell phone that's actually attached to my chest. So I'm actually able to frame up certain shots. But pretty much what I'm doing here is just getting a general look around. And as you can see, there's lots of fish. There's thousands of these little guys. I'm pretty sure they are, I think some of them are common bullies, and I'm sort of hoping that some of them are baby trout as well. Yeah, so Lake Tutera had some issues a couple of years back. It was very contaminated. Well, it wasn't contaminated, it was suffocated. So the lake was in very bad shape. So it's really nice to see that the water's so clear now, and it just looks amazing. So at this point, I'm just trying to find a nice shot to line up. And if I do find a nice like scene, then I'll stop moving the camera and just record it. Try and be as still as possible and just try and capture that scene on video. And so it's important, well, for me, I like to have some motion. I like to have some motion moving forwards. So when you're recording underwater, I find that panning doesn't really work too well, but moving the camera forwards works really well. And also, so you can mix it up. You can have some moving, and then you can have some of just a static scene where the fish move around and stuff like that. Microphone sync. Okay, so for this part, I'm going to show you what the camera pole does above the water. So basically, it's got the other attachment on it now. It's got the microphone on and the gimbal. So it just sort of gives you a little bit more flexibility when it comes to height, going lower down to the ground and going a little bit higher. You can get it just a bit more different perspective than if you're just simply holding the gimbal in your hand. Now, unfortunately, the microphone that I have attached to the top there, it isn't sound dampened, and it took me a while to figure out why I was getting so much extra noise. It's because any microphone that I put on the top, it's gonna need to be sound dampened, so I'm gonna have to either build or buy another microphone that is isolated, because what happens is all of the pole ends up acting like a giant microphone. That's one thing I thought I'd point out, so I'll be making an adjustment there for sure. Another thing that actually I didn't cover in my video was that the pole, I've sound isolated the pole. So any rattling that the pole has, I've mitigated that rattle noise so that you don't get any of it in the actual recording. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, this video was surprisingly difficult to make. It took a lot more effort and work and thought and learning than I thought it would. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. And if you would like to see any more videos like this, some smartphone photography as well, then consider subscribing to the channel. Oh, and also, if you would like to see what I actually produce with this content, with the underwater content, and with the content that I recorded on this day, I'll be uploading that video to this channel shortly once I've finished editing it.